Alrighty. Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Success Habits for Building Your Future. Today's presenter is Dr. Larry Iverson. Dr. Iverson is a psychologist, author, keynote speaker, and executive coach. During his career, he's personally coached or trained more than 1 million people. For your convenience, the slide deck for today's presentation will be available on the CPSHR Consulting website. Please visit cpshr.us to download. This session is also being recorded, and we will post a link to the recording on that same page of the website as soon as it is available. In order to ensure a high quality recording, all attendees are encouraged to mute your microphones. If you have any questions for Dr. Iverson, please enter them in the Q&A panel on the right side of your screen, and we will address those questions at the end of the presentation as time allows. And now, let's get started.
Good morning, Angelique. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to be here today. Success habits. A little about where this came from. About 10 years ago, the Verizon Corporation, the Western region, hired me to put together a program for executives, managers, and senior staff on success and what makes success happen. Well, it became a one-day program, and CPSHR now has me doing that program for them. I have since changed it a lot, and it's grown and evolved over time. I'm going to give you just a few concepts that can really make a difference for you if you apply them. All right, so let's begin. What I would like you to do, if you have a pad of paper, which I hope you do, I'd like you to draw this out on a pad of paper, right? Just take and make this little wheel. I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to have you do something with it. So grab a pad of paper and a pencil, draw this out while I'm describing it. There are basically 6 aspects to our life. 6. Everything we do falls into one of these categories: physical and health, family and home, social, cultural, education, mental, spiritual, and emotional, and career and finance. So let's take a little bit of time with each one. Your physical and health, everything in that category is what you do to take care of you. It's the exercise you get, it's the rest you get, it's the way that you eat, it's the chemicals you intake, coffee, water, sugar, right? It's all that stuff. Everything goes into making up your physical and your health aspect of your life. It's what you do to take care of you. Family and home. Family and home is everybody who you're really connected to. It is your spouse, your children, your parents, your siblings, your whomever. And it's also like your closest friends. If you have people you're really, really close to, you spend time with, those fall in that category as well. Social cultural, it's everything you're doing to connect with other people. It's the getting together, it's the phone calls, it's the text, it's the interconnection. And the cultural piece is, what am I doing to learn more about my culture or about the world? For example, there's a police chief in Arizona who I was hired to coach not very long ago, and he is on an area that has a number of Native American tribes around it. So over the last year, in his tenure there, he has taken multiple college courses. He's read about a half dozen books. He spent time on the reservation with the Native Americans, getting to know them and their tribe and their issues and their hopes and all that. That's growing your cultural aspects. Education. Education is anything you're learning. Don't care if it's learning how to play a game. Don't care if it's something about work. Education is anything you're learning. Mental, spiritual, and emotional is where you live inside of yourself. Who are you? Where do you live? What are your values? What are your beliefs? What's most important to you? And career and finance is everything you're doing to build your career, to set yourself up for a financial life for the future. Now, what I would like you to do is I would like you to rate yourself in each of these categories. So again, I hope you drew this little thing out. So if you take those lines, I want you to make a mark on those lines. So the first line to the right, which is about 2 o'clock, let's say that is the line for physical and health. Now, if you notice, there's a 10 at the top and a 0 at the bottom. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10 in each of these categories, and just make a mark on that line. 0 would be, I never do anything in that category ever. I never even think about it. It just never even crosses my mind to do anything. 10 is, I'm doing something every single day for my physical health, my family, home, my education, something. I'm doing something every single day, keeping it in mind, top of mind, going for it. 5 is kind of in between, never think about it, to just going for it 100%. So on each of these categories, I want you to make a mark on that line that represents that category for you, however much time. So I'll give you like 30 seconds. Just go around there, mark on those lines, Okay? Just do it. Are you getting there? Just another moment. All right. So what I'd like you to do now is go around that wheel and connect the dots. Connect the dots around the wheel that you just put on there. Connect them. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be done. Okay? Got it? All right. I want you to imagine that your car needed a tune-up. So you took it into the mechanic in the morning, and the mechanic said, well, I can probably have it for you by later this afternoon. Great. So about mid-afternoon, you get this phone call from the mechanic saying, well, I'm almost done with the car, but I don't know how to tell you this. The tires on your car should not be on the road. I mean, almost all of them are clear through the cords even. I am shocked you haven't had a blowout. This car is unsafe to drive on the road. I'm going to have to do something for it. So you say, wow, well, can you give me some kind of a deal? And they say, sure, I can definitely do that for you. So they put the tires on, you go pick the car up. And when you go to pull away, the tires they put on your car are shaped just like this inner circle of yours. Is it maybe a little lopsided? So how would it go down the road? Slightly bumpy? Slightly bumpy? Probably so. See, you've heard the term work-life balance. Whoever came up with that term is a knucklehead. I'm telling you. If you're working, there is no such thing as work-life balance. There really isn't. There really isn't. I mean, think about it. So you get up in the morning, and you get up like an hour and a half before you have to start work. And so what's going on? You're getting through your head, and what am I going to wear today? And what am I going to eat? And what am I going to take to work today for lunch if you're still going in the office, or, you're thinking about that and getting ready for, making sure you're presentable and thinking about what you got to do today. And then if you're commuting, you probably have an half-hour commute. So it takes you like an hour and a half to get it together to get ready, and maybe a half an hour to commute. And then you get to work, and you're there from 8 to 5. So that's 9 hours. So far that's 11 hours you've put in on this. And then you get home, and we always have to debrief with our families how much time and energy we're putting into things. So say another half an hour. So that's 11 and a half to 12 hours. Oh, and if you're like most of us, at night, you'll be sitting there and all of a sudden you go, oh, gosh, I totally forgot. Tomorrow I've got to do this. And then you think about it for a while. You may even wake up during the night thinking about it. And on the weekends, have you ever on the weekend thought about work? Yeah. See, the thing is, if you're working, you spend way more time getting ready for, getting to, doing, leaving, thinking about it later, planning for what's coming next than you do anything else. So if your little circle is lopsided, it's because there really is no such thing as work-life balance. Now, you can have some balance, and here's what we know. That if you don't put a little bit of time and energy into each of these aspects of your life, physical and health, family and home, education, social, cultural, mental, spiritual, work. If you don't put a little bit of time in it, things just really feel kind of out of whack. It's like you're missing something. Now, you don't have to be putting maximum amount of energy and effort in every aspect, but this is a success habit. This is putting some time and energy into things so that I can keep moving forward in the things that matter most to me. We need to have a little bit of balance. Even if parts of your life are, I mean, if you're 30 years old and you have 7 children and you're the sole provider, you're probably spending all your time on family and home and career and finance. If, on the other hand, you are 3 months away from retiring, you're probably career and finance pretty much handled. You're probably trying to do things to take care of your health, make it better, connect culturally, maybe do some educational stuff for fun. Depends on where you are in life. The point being, no matter where you are, we need to be putting a little time and energy into each one of these. Each one of these. Now, do you drink tea? You ever drink tea? Well, if you ever drink Good Earth tea, a couple of years ago, the Good Earth Corporation got a hold of me, and asked if they could use, I've done a lot of writing and recording, and they said, could we use some of your quotes on our tea tags? You know, the tag itself says good or tea. On the back side, they have quotes by well-known people. Anyhow, if you ever get a tea bag that says Dr. Larry Iverson, that's me. They took a couple of my quotes. This one absolutely applies to this. It's amazing how far you can go when you quit stepping on the brakes. It's amazing how far you can go stepping on the brakes. The only person stopping you from having more balance is you. It's really up to you. You got to take your foot off the brakes and give it a little more time and energy to those things that matter, that create the long-term connectedness and a little bit more balance. It's really important to do so. Now, Harvard University, it was about 7 years ago now, did a research study. They literally interviewed tens of thousands of people through questionnaires across the country. And they were asking them, what are some of the things that you do at your work or your organization does to help them thrive? People to be successful, organization to be successful, makes things work. What are some of the things you do to help it thrive? The people feel good about their jobs, making reasonable incomes, things are going well, morale's decent. What makes that happen? Harvard found that over 82% of the people who responded had the same four things as the most important things you can do. Harvard called them the four strategic abilities. So let's talk about them for a moment. The first of the four strategic abilities they called stepping up to win. Hope you're writing this down. Stepping up to win. Stepping up to win is defined as going as far as you can go with what you got. They said to do that takes courage. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have unlimited resources? Wouldn't it be great to have all the team members you needed to do whatever you needed to do when you needed to do it? Wouldn't it be amazing to have all the technology and all the technological support you ever wanted? Wouldn't that be great? Nobody has that. There's always challenges. I do a lot of keynote speaking. About 2 years ago, I was doing a conference in Atlanta for about 3,000 people. I'd gotten up, I was getting going. It was about 45-minute presentation. I was about 5 minutes into my speech, and all of a sudden, the PA system died, just died. It's like, I was looking at people, and I knew if I didn't do something quickly, I will lose my audience. They'll get up and go have coffee, they'll whatever. So I'm looking at the guy on the side who is the sound man. It's like, what's going on? He goes, I don't know. So anyhow, I look over there and I just yell over there and say, I'll be right back. And I run off to the side, and there was a flip chart there. So I ripped the pages off. In the back of all flip charts, that heavy cardboard, I grabbed that, and he and I took some duct tape and rolled me up a megaphone. I got back on stage. Hey, hey, can you hear me? And I was yelling back and forth. We were yelling at each other back and forth. And it's like, okay, let's get going. So here I am screaming in this thing. And about 3 minutes later, the PA comes back on, and my lavalier microphone just about deafened everybody in the auditorium. Sometimes you just got to do the best you can with what you got. It's not perfect, better than nothing. The second strategic ability they called collaboration. And they said it really took four things to make this happen. Number one is risk taking. I don't think I'd ever really thought about risk taking as part of collaboration, but it is, right? I mean, you are taking a risk that that person's going to do what they say they're going to do and live up to their commitments. Team play, we got to work with each other. We got to be handling things together. Verbal and nonverbal authenticness, meaning I'm congruent. I am who I am. I'm genuine. I'm real, and people can count on that. And personal accountability. Personal accountability, they defined as acting as if you are the proprietor of your business. Now, who do you work for? Well, I work for the Department of X. Great. But who else do you work for? You work for yourself. How many of you are self-employed? Probably most of you work for organizations, right? But inside of that organization, you run your own shop. I call it you incorporated. That's right. You work for yourself. You do those things to help you step up. You are running your own shop, whether you think about it or not, you are. Yeah, I know I work for the Department of Labor and Industries or whomever, but you inside of there have your own business, and you need to treat it as if it is your own business because it is. The third of the four strategic abilities they called long-term partnering vision. It is made up of principles of communication. Got to make sure everybody's in the loop. We're talking, we're sharing, we're making sure that we're all on the same page. Mutual benefit. They're getting something out of this interaction with you. You're getting something out of the interaction with you. It works for both of us, not just one of us. It works for both of us. And that we have clearly defined goals. Clearly defined goals. We've got to know where we're going. We have to have a method for getting there. But how can we know if we're getting there if we don't have a clearly defined goal to begin with? So long-term partnering vision, communication, mutual benefit, goals that we both understand and can see can help us all succeed and move forward. The fourth of these four strategic abilities, they called supporting partnership results. And again, I hope you're writing this down. They said that we need to know what's most important in productivity and service, and we also need to know what's most important in behavior and relationships. So this is really, we need to know what's most important in the job and the task, and we need to know what's most important in the way they want to be treated during this, right? Task and relationship. Every part of your work has both components. Let's say that you are brilliant at doing your job. You're incredible. If this was the Olympics, they would be giving you the gold medal. I mean, you're just amazing. Nobody has ever done this job better in the history of your department than you are. You're just unbelievable. But you are such a mean, nasty son of a gun that nobody will even talk to you. Do you think that's going to work long term? Probably not. Let's say, on the other hand, you are just so wonderful and lovable and kind that when you come in the door, people just crowd around you to talk to you. You sit at your desk and they just stand there and stare at you with eyes of love. But you don't have a brain in your head. You couldn't do that job if you had to do it. Think that's going to work? We need to know what needs to be done for the task and dealing with the relationships. It takes both. One without the other, and you will have problems. Got to have them both. Sometimes the task takes priority. Just got to get it done. There's other times when we got to slow down, take a breath, deal with the people, handle the relationships. They're both essentials. These things that Harvard talked about, stepping up to win, collaboration, long-term partnering vision, supporting partnership results, are all part of success habits to help people and organizations thrive. There is not one of us who can't do this. From the first day on the job until the day you retire, you can do all four of these things, and so can your partners. So, in your own mind, I'd like you to just kind of think about, if you had to choose one of these, what do you think that your team members need the most work on? Hmm? And which one or ones did they do the best at? And perhaps you as well. Which one or ones do you do the best at? And which one do you think you need the most work on? And it may be the same as the team, or it may be different. You need to think about it. You need to think about, what am I doing to make this happen? Am I doing the best I can with what I've got? Am I collaborating, communicating, finding that place of authentic congruence? Am I having that long-term vision where the mutual benefit, the long-term goals are out there? And am I paying attention to both the task and the relationship? Both, not just one or the other, but both. Am I doing that? These success traits will be of high benefit to you when you're doing them. So we need to find a way to make it happen. To make it happen, how do we do this? Now, all of this that we're talking about really has to do with change. Change. The difficulty is that for most people, change makes them at least somewhat uncomfortable. It causes stress to some degree when things change. Now, that's not a bad thing, but it can cause difficulties when we're doing what we're doing and we're trying to move forward. Why? Because even if you're somebody who loves change, change kind of takes you out of your game for a minute while you're adjusting to the change. I mean, let's say that someone brings you a piece of software and you have to learn to use it. Have you ever done any pushback on it? Probably, I would guess. Probably. So now, there really are only 5 primary reasons why people resist change. There's more than this, but these are the big ones. Lack of knowledge or skill. Like I said, Have you ever had somebody give you a new piece of software you had to start using and you don't know how? And even if you love change, it's like, gosh, am I ever going to learn how to do this? So you resist. Physical or resource restrictions, not enough time, people, tools, technology, money. You are missing some resource that you need. Negative future projections. Negative future projections are really negative thinking or projecting out there bad things that could happen. Self-talk, the mental images of disaster, of things not going well. Discomfort or being comfortable where you are. Do you ever have any old stuff you just hang on to and you probably know you should get rid of it, but you don't, you hang on to it instead? Got any of that stuff? I think we all do. So discomfort or being comfortable where you are, or because of fear. Something happens, something scares you, something generates this issue, and you're afraid of it. So these primary reasons why people resist moving out of their comfort zones can get in our way of growth, change, development, success habits. We all tend to try and live inside this little comfort zone. Now, when I think about this model, I don't think about it as a 2D model. I think about it as a 3D model. So if you had a ball that big, how many of those little yellow balls do you think you can get inside of that big ball? Dozens, perhaps? Probably a lot of them, right? There are way more things that we are uncomfortable with than we will ever be comfortable with. No one has a comfort zone the size of that one that's way out there. We don't. We don't. We don't have one that's way out there. The only way you'd have a comfort zone as big as that outer black line is if you were omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. You could be all, do all. You're male enough, female enough, rich enough, smart enough, stupid enough. You're everything. Other than that, nobody's going to have a comfort zone that big. Now, how do we grow our comfort zone? I mean, have you ever wished that you could try things and you just sort of resisted doing it, like we just talked about? How do we grow our comfort zone? It takes two things. It takes learning or experimentation, or both. You learn something new, which allows you to experiment and try it, or you give yourself an experiment of some kind, and from that you learn something which helps you. So growing the comfort zone takes learning and experimentation, or both. Let's say you're at work and your boss comes up and says, I realize it's Friday and, the weekend's coming, but I just got a report from my boss that we have a write up, a paper we need to write up by next Tuesday morning for the governor of the state. And I think you're the one who's going to be able to pull it off. And you go, whoa, wait a minute. I really don't know that much about that area. And they go, well, I understand, but I think you're the one. I can give you some people to help you, give you some resources, but I really want you to do this. You go, oh my golly. So you hit it and you talk to these people and you put in some work over the weekend and Monday you go for it. And by Tuesday morning, you have this 15-page report written up, ready to go. It's not perfect, but it's okay. You bumped your boundaries. You tried it. You did something. Maybe a different day. You go home and something has happened there. There's a crisis. There's an emergency. You bumped your boundaries. You try something new. And from bumping those boundaries, your comfort zone gets a little bit bigger. It grows a little bit. It grows just a little bit. It gets a little larger. Experimentation and learning are success habits. These help you expand your comfort zone. So you try new things. You got to give it a shot. See, the deal is if your comfort zone isn't growing, it is shrinking. It does not stay the same. It's either getting bigger or it's getting smaller all the time. So we need to do things that can help us bump our boundaries and grow our comfort zones. Make it expand out, learn, grow, make it happen. Now, when I think about most people who have relatively small comfort zones, one population that most of us probably know are the very elderly, very elderly. If you know somebody who is 85, 90, 95, 100 years old, most of them have fairly small comfort zones. Why? Most of them, money is pretty tight. Even if you're in relatively decent shape, is being in good shape when you're 90 the same as when you're 70 or 60 or 30? Or no, it's not. You're at least a lot more creaky, if nothing else. What about your brain? Well, your brain can still be clicking along pretty good, but do you think the 90-year-old brain is quite as sharp as it was 20 or 30 or 50 years ago? No, you can still be pretty sharp, but not quite the same. Not only that, you probably have a smaller social circle than you once did because, there's not that many people who live to be 85, 90 years old at this time. But it does not have to be a small comfort zone. It can be a big one. There's a dear friend of mine who was the head of Children's Orthopedic Hospital Psychiatry Division. He was a psychiatrist named Dr. Bill Womack. I met Bill and got to know Bill years ago. We both were attending a conference in Vancouver, BC, uh, for the Alternative Medicine Conference. And have you ever met somebody and it's like you knew him forever? That was Bill and I. We met over lunch and became lifelong friends. And this was over 40 years ago. We're still friends. Anyhow, so got to know Bill. Well, Bill, living here I'm in Seattle. So living here in Seattle is where he was. His mother and his mother's best friend, her name was Bertha Pitts Campbell, moved out here to Seattle to be near Bill and his wife and children. And I got to know both his mom and Bertha really well. Now, Bertha was somebody special. Remember I said you got to have a big comfort zone? When I met Bertha, she was 90 years old. 90 years old. When she was a girl, she graduated high school valedictorian of her class. She was offered a full ride scholarship to the University of Colorado. She was from Colorado, Longmont, to there. She turned down the scholarship and instead took a scholarship at Howard University in Washington, D.C., where she got both her bachelor's degree and her master's degree in education. She wanted to be a teacher, and she was. When she was in her junior year, Bertha and 21 other young women created the very first African American women's sorority in the world. The first. When I met her, Bertha told me this little story. She said, when I was about 70, I'd retired when I was 65. When I was 70, a university called and asked if I'd come and speak about what it was like to be one of the founders of that sorority, because now the sororities all over the world that they founded. So she did, found she liked it. When I met her, she'd for 20 years been traveling around the world lecturing to people about what it was like to be one of the founders of that very first African American women's sorority. Bertha was a pit stall. She didn't stop traveling until she was 98. She lived to be almost 101. I got really close to her. She and I used to play cards a lot. She used to beat me at gin rummy regularly. And she made the worst coffee you've ever drank. I don't know what she did to it. I haven't bought her high quality coffee, took it over and she ruined it. It's like, I have no idea. But anyhow, she was this amazing spirit. She was powerful, little pistol. When she passed away at 101, almost, I was one of the speakers at her funeral here in Seattle. There was nearly 3,000 people attended her funeral from all over the world. She changed the planet. Her goal was to get people excited about education and how fraternities and sororities could assist you with that if you used them correctly. She made a difference. She changed the world. I feel so privileged to have met her. Her success habits were she just never gave up. She would just keep going. She kept learning, keep growing, keep asking good questions, kept moving forward. Moving forward. I think we all need to be like Bertha. Bertha Pitts Campbell was an incredible lady. You can look her up on Wikipedia if you want. She was an amazing person. Personally, professionally, wonderful. Now, there was something that she gave me a quote years ago that I really liked. Um, and her quote was this: make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. I think that really applies to bumping our boundaries, don't you? It's a success habit to make the best use of what you can. Now, we're about to wrap up, and I wanted to say one more thing, and that is you need to think about what we just talked about. If you don't think about this anymore today and you just forget about it till tomorrow, you'll lose up to 50% of what we just did overnight. Within the day after that, you lose another 20%. Within a week, you'll retain 1 to 3% or less of these success habits that we just talked about. Apply them, use them, think about them, review your notes today, go back over it. If you have any questions about what I've done, you see down at the bottom, that's my email. You email me and just say, Dr. Larry, I heard your success habits presentation. What about this? I will email you back. That's my commitment to you for having been on this. So Don't worry about that. Also, if you're interested, down there at the bottom is my website. There are many articles, videos, all kinds of free stuff there. If you want to learn a little bit more, go there and pick up some of that stuff. It's just out there. I'd be more than happy to connect and share with whatever I can with you. So we're at the end. Um, Angelique, are there questions out there that I can answer, or do people have questions for me?
Yes, we'll get to questions in just a moment. I just wanted to say thank you to you, Dr. Iverson, for this helpful presentation, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. It is 11:30, so just wanted to let everybody know that they can be sure to check our website at cpshr.us for the slide deck and the recording. And we do have a question or two, so if anybody else needs to leave, feel free. Thank you again for joining us. Our first question is, have you written a book on the topic of success habits, Dr. Larry?
I wrote a book that pertains to success habits. It's called Unleash Your Success, Volumes 1 and 2. It's a two-book series. If you go to my website, you can look it up there. But it's about things that we can do to really change our life, about goals and about vision and about handling beliefs and making change. And I wrote one book and I decided it wasn't enough. So this is the second one. So two-book series, Unleash Your Success. Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah,
One more question. If
sure.
you could please repeat Bertha's last name again. I think some folks want to look her up.
Yeah, yeah. Bertha Pitts Campbell. Bertha Pitts Campbell.
Awesome, thank you.
But she was
And
amazing.
do you recall the name of the sorority that she was one of the founders of?
It's on my bookshelf over there.
Okay. Yeah,
But I
somebody
do not.
mentioned Delta Sigma Theta, so I was just wondering
That
if that
sounds
was.
right.
Okay, cool.
That sounds right.
All right, perfect. And
Yeah.
Christina, you can find the slides on our website, cpshr.us. If you go to the top of the page, it says About. Pull that down and you can click Webinars, and then you can click Past Webinars, and then a recording and the slides will be available. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. I believe that is everything. If I missed anything, please let me know. But Dr. Laird did provide his email address if you have any burning questions.
Yep.
So again, thank you all for joining us and have an awesome rest of your Friday and a fantastic weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.